Hi everyone, here we are, Petra and Mel, doing a final video wrap-up to the end of our project for what is known as the development phase for the common facilities. So we'd like to just introduce the concept of this video to you guys to make sure you know what you're here listening to. We're just going to take you through the responsibilities and the flow of the project and Alam Santi through the development period.
Yeah, so it's been, what, 5.5 years?
I just realized that the other day.
Yeah, it was amazing. While we were getting ready, we figured that out. So yeah, the Taman Patanu project technically started in 2010. And then initially it was just, a group of friends just doing this thing together. But then, as time went by, it started getting a little more serious, and there was a lot of work involved, and it was getting overwhelming. So the group back then decided, okay, we need to sort of formalize the arrangement around who's going to be really, really responsible for establishing the legalities and managing our collective funds and all that sort of stuff. So we developed a written MOU between Alam Santi and the neighbourhood members. And in that MOU was outlined, all of the tasks and the deliverables that were needed from everyone's perspective to get the neighbourhood's foundation up and running. So it covered all sorts of things, which you'll hear more about throughout this film and see some examples of on the ground. It's kind of cool to feel it's real, because it's been a long journey and there's been a lot involved in getting us to where we are now. So yeah, welcome to the Taman Patanu development video blog.
We thought a video format would be fun and a good way to deliver this information to you guys, those that are in Bali and also the ones that aren't, that can just watch it, sit back, relax. We expect the video, just to be a nice overview of the different areas and not to overwhelm you guys with too much information, but also to know that, we're going to do a handover of all the documentation and the detailed stuff in addition to this video. So we hope you enjoy, and we'll take you through a little walk through our MOU and all the different conditions that are in there and all the progress that we've made and the completion that we've done for the development process.
So one of the really important aspects of the development period for the neighborhood was managing all of the finances of the neighborhood. So we had, we were a collective, we are a collective of members who have each put in our different contribution to making this neighborhood happen. And over the 5.5 years today, we've collected just under $2 million from all of us. So that's been for our various homes, land ownership, and each of our contributions to building common facilities, and also something which will be covered in more detail in another video blog, which is the home prep components, which are different for each plot. So to manage that fund properly, we basically applied the principles that are used for middle to large scale nonprofit project management. So a similar type of reporting and accounting that you would use if you were working for Oxfam or one of the agencies that do nonprofit work. It's quite rigorous. There's multiple steps on signing off on budgets. So you have your basic budget of what you think things are going to cost, and then each time you want to access the funds and apply them to some aspect of what we've agreed needs to be done. The manager who is overseeing the work, and then the financial manager, and in some cases also the CC, depending on the type of expenditure, would then sign off and approve that expenditure was in keeping with what was needed. And of course, one of the things that happened with our project, which was unexpected, is that we had in the MOU we had set a time frame, an expected time frame together of approximately 2 years to, get the legalities in place and build the common facilities. And that most likely would have happened if all the plots had sold in the beginning, but they didn't. So what that meant was that, we had this plan of these things we were going to do, but the money wasn't actually there to do it. So we had to sort of stretch that budget over time and just be really, really careful during that process that we didn't run out of money midway, so that we could get what we had committed to doing together done, which I think you'll see in this video. We got pretty well through that. So I want to take a moment to really, really say thank you to all of the people in the admin team over the years. It's been a lot of work. There's boxes and boxes and boxes of receipts and documents that had to be, provided to be able to make all of those transactions, and they also provide a really cool record of what it takes to build a neighborhood like this, because we know each of the costs for the different elements, that sort of thing. But yeah, the admin team, both at Alam Santi and at Taman Patanu, are awesome, and they did a great job. And also the CC was fantastic, being there, ready to ask the right questions and respond quickly when we needed budgets to go through the system. So yeah, it's thanks to that really, really good teamwork that this was all possible. So yay, team! So as far as the legalities go, in a nutshell, the different aspects of the legalities involved, really securing the land itself properly. We have stories on both sides of Taman Patanu. One, a Balinese family, and another group of people building together to the west of us, where all sorts of dramas around, bad land deals or people claiming because the paperwork wasn't in place. This is really, really common in Bali, and Alam Santi took this whole legality issue for Taman Patanu really seriously, obviously. So that process started with the issue that this land, before we got here, this land was just a beautiful green grassy hill like what we see across the river from us. So that the zoning of the site had to be shifted. It had to be shifted from what it was, which was unproductive land and a small amount of sawa, into a zone that was appropriate for building housing. So that was sort of the first step. And then after that, we had these two large land certificates. So one was the west side of the property and one was the east side of the property. And then we had to, cut that up into the pieces that have now resulted in what's each of the members' homes' private land. So that's a whole process called pengkaplingan, which is, to do that, by law, we also had to design and ensure that there was a road that met each of the different plots, because that's the land regulation, that you can't have a land certificate for a home or an area to be occupied that doesn't have a road to it. So that's what our pathways are, and that's called tanah lepas. That's land that you let go of when you certify a block. We did have a couple of members who through that process changed their plans. So we had a couple of rounds of pengkaplingan and of adjusting these plots to suit the size of land that was needed for each of the members and was appropriate for their families or their plans, and match their budgets and all that sort of stuff.
During the process certification of the lands in Kemenul, it take quite long time, because we have to work with the notaries, and then we work also in BPN and other regulation department in Gianyar. So yeah, there is a lot of challenge during the process, because sometimes the head of the, for example, we have problem when the head of the one of the department in Gianyar, they want to change their regulation. They want to move to another department next year, so we have to make push them to process our certification and any IMB regulation in Gianyar. So, and then the other things in BPN, we have I think it's 2 times, 3 times they change the head of the BPN, and then yeah, we have to start again from the beginning, and yeah, it takes too long, really long time, because yeah, the internal of the government is they move very fast, and then sometimes we lose one of our people sometimes in BPN, because they manage their paper is not really electronic or digital, but they are, it's like very manual with a lot of paper inside of the BPN, so that is not make the system was very long, and then they have to find again the paper we already submit for like long time ago. But yeah, it takes time, more than about 3 years to process the certificate.
Okay, so there's a series of different permits and licenses that were ascertained. So one was the building permits that are needed for the common facilities, for the swimming pool, for the recreational areas. Another one is a special permit that you need to do a deep well, like for the well that we have that feeds the emergency water supply. And then, of course, you know, we established a non-profit association called the Perkumpulan of Taman Petanu, which is really, really cool. It's quite an unusual legal format. In Indonesia, mostly they use what's called yayasans, but the yayasan is a much more sort of top-down type non-profit structure. So we really preferred following the Perkumpulan format, which is an association where the members are, you know, any Indonesian nationals that are part of the neighborhood. They can all be members of that association. So that's in place. And at this point, all of our legalities are being run under that perkumpulan, and our staff are hired by that perkumpulan, and our bank accounts are under that perkumpulan. So that was just a huge milestone to have that legal entity that is appropriate for who we are and what we're doing here, and can help us with all of those needs.
One of the huge responsibilities that Alam Santi had, and it took up a lot of our time, but we loved doing it, was handling member relations and communication. So, you know, that entailed organizing a lot of member gatherings. We facilitated about 11 member gatherings that were quite intensive in, you know, making sure that we have use that precious time where all the members get together and to make some crucial decisions together. So Alam Santi, you know, found that it was really important and really effective to do a lot of preparation for those gatherings and facilitate processes to help determine, you know, what do we want in our neighborhood, the design of our neighborhood, the decisions that we need to make together. We did this both at our gatherings and also virtually. So for example, we sent out a bunch of surveys. When we wanted to have members' inputs so we can make some crucial important decisions, we created 27 different surveys over the course of this project and sent it out. Anything from, you know, what kind of toilet choices that you guys want to have, to what kind of like parking spaces, what are the smoking areas of the site, what kind of land certificates do you want, and the legal arrangements, all kinds of things that we surveyed on and tried to incorporate everybody's input and have everyone have a sense of ownership in the development process through our community relations our internal community relations. So beyond that, we also sent out numerous and literally countless amounts of email updates to you guys to make sure that we were communicating what kind of progress was happening on site, what kind of key decisions that were made and needed to be made. So a lot of communications happened over email. Beyond email, we also looked at how do we create a more effective way that's not just flat on a screen reading a lot of text, but more engaging. So we created a lot of different video blogs. So 19 different video blogs were created, covering all different topics from the living classroom and home prep stuff and just fun updates on site, filming the progress and sharing it to you guys so the people that are in different countries around the world can see what's happening on the ground.
Selama kita berada di Taman Petanu, upacara yang pernah dilakukan untuk pertama kalinya yaitu upacara ngeruak karang. Tujuannya yaitu untuk mengubah fungsi dari tanah ini sebelumnya dari pertanian atau tegalan menjadi pembangunan. Upacara selanjutnya yang kita lakukan yaitu upacara matur piuning di Pura Segano yang bertujuan untuk menjaga keharmonisan antara Taman Petanu dengan pura tersebut. Kemudian kita melakukan upacara nasarin untuk Pelinggih Padmasana dan Pelinggih Durgamaya sebagai tempat suci di Taman Petanu. Kemudian upacara terakhir sampai saat ini yang telah kita lakukan yaitu upacara mecaru dan ngambe untuk bangunan fasum yang telah berdiri.
Another aspect of what Alam Santi did for the development period was to handle the marketing of the plots. So what that entailed is, starting from the broad level strategy to developing what the strategy is and, going through the marketing of who do you think would want to appeal to this project? What types of people do we want to magnetize in? What's the language that we want to use to communicate to them? Where do we find these people? And how do we attract the most amazing members to our community? So we did that by looking at what are the communication tools that we need. So we created a website. We counted how many pages that website had. We wanted our website to be really informative and educational and to communicate the values of the community. So we created a video on our homepage that kind of introduced the community, and then we actually ended up creating 59 different pages on our website to talk about all aspects of the neighborhood, from what it costs to join the neighborhood, the procedure behind that, some stories of community outreach and handling the dump site, and all the way to the site master plan and what's involved in that and the components.
Okay, so one of the things that we've tried to do as much as we could through the development period is to really document in a user-friendly as possible accessible format some of the really complicated technology that's gone into building Taman Petanu. So all of the documents you see here behind me, all of these technical manuals, they're all posted on the Taman Petanu website, and people can download them free straight from the website. And yeah, we've had a really positive response about that from a lot of people, really thanking Taman Petanu for the sharing of the story and information, and hopefully as time goes by we can make this documentation even better and better, and also showcase the really awesome techniques that are going into building some of the different homes at Taman Petanu, because each home is kind of a unique story in and of itself with amazing technologies, strategies, techniques that each of the members have come up with. So it'd be really awesome to tell those different stories as time goes by.
The reason why we did this and why we put so much effort into sharing the information with a wider community is because we really just believed in open source information and collaboration. So we would hope that other people that were in our networks, considering that we had joined the Intentional Communities Network, the Global Eco Village Network, and other permaculture communities, that we would share this information to the wider group and hope that that information could be beneficial to some, and that people would take it, copy it, innovate it, come back to us, and just share the benefit of what we've learned through this process for all. In addition, we also started up some social media presence for Taman Petanu. We grew the Facebook page to about 1,000 likes. We networked it through different events. We created flyers and posted them all throughout Ubud and some places in Bali. We took tons of photos, so we have about 2,000 photos in our database. We have about 102 different photo albums that are shared to the public, and we have over 7,000 high-res images in our database. So I'd just like to say a huge thank you to Gede, to Santi, because they were primarily the main photographers as part of this project that created all these beautiful images that you see that we've used to communicate to the wider public and market and attract people to come to Taman Petanu and join our crazy community of amazing people. So a big thank you to them. And also a huge thank you to Tikal and Malaika and Carly, who all had a huge role in marketing the plots and representing us, giving site tours. We probably had about approximately 300 different site visits that we facilitated and communicated. We had approximately 150 different people inquiring for plots, and so communicating with them over email and getting them all the necessary information. We've had approximately 40 volunteer inquiries since March 2015, and we've handled those kind of relations as well, and we've had a lot of really successful volunteers, and I'd just like to give a huge thanks to everyone that was involved in that. Also to the members themselves who helped to craft, help give input into the marketing strategy and how we're going to communicate about our community and bring them in. To Sandy, to Rick, to Rod, who actively went out and created different events to communicate and spread the word about our networks. So thanks so much, guys.
When I joined Taman Petanu, the project of Taman Petanu development is already ongoing. And I learned so many things from the times that I work here. And the chance to learn and grow together is what, in my opinion, is what's great about Taman Petanu. So when Taman Petanu also opened up the chance to have volunteers to learning more stuff together with us, that's such a really great opportunity. For all of this time, we hosted 14 volunteers. Some of them work for Eco Farm, some of them work for design, and currently right now we have 3 Indonesian volunteers from Universitas Gajah Mada who's been doing really great and learn about integrating the eco-tech and to use local materials and to cut the cost. I really hope that along the time, Taman Petanu will keep the space open for everyone to learn and grow together.
In terms of human resources and who was part of our team, we saw a general shift in strategy over the years. We first started out working with a lot of different consultants, mainly international consultants. That wasn't what we were targeting specifically, but we were looking for the people who had the right knowledge and skills to implement some of these kind of out-of-the-box eco-technologies. We found that by working with a lot of people that were connected in our network, we were able to pull a lot of amazing resources together at basically shoestring budget costs or almost volunteer levels of contribution from these different consultants. Over time, we saw that we would be the strongest by actually building out an in-house team of local capacity, and transferring this important knowledge to the Indonesian context with Indonesian team members. So we also saw that, we went from working with big contractors that had, strong reputations in construction for many years, but also who were quite expensive and less than willing to experiment with us on our kind of pioneering, somewhat crazy out-of-the-box eco ideas. So, we found that to be challenging by working with these outside contractors and by some of the inputs of our members, as well as, judging our internal team strengths and weaknesses and the budget that we had to play with. We shifted to kind of working with more smaller contractors, developing some more in-house building capacities, and that in turn ended up helping us to save a lot of money over the long run, and also to be able to innovate and experiment to the level that we felt that the neighborhood was called to do so. So we shifted kind of from like these bigger, more high-end, well-known, reputable contractors who were very costly to a more cost-effective in-house team that enabled us to be more flexible and on our toes. We worked with a number of different designers and experts because we had a lot of different fields to cover. So we worked with about 20 different designers and experts in their fields to coordinate things like the topic of agriculture, for example, with Sierra Silverstein and Dan and Aaron for permaculture and Kasut Suratman for Balinese landscaping magic, down to architecture, working with Guy Morgan and Henry Horty and Heinz for different elements of eco-architecture and master planning. We also worked with some interiors advisors as well as aquatic advisors. So for example, Kok Hong helped us to develop one of the first ever really pioneering biological swimming pools for a residential area, as well as Jeremiah Kidd for water and wastewater, Florence Ketton for wastewater management and sanitation, David Hutchinson, of course, who has helped us for many, many years on a volunteer basis to design our water systems. We also looked at talking to different electricians and MEP designers to look at our wiring systems as well as our telecommunications. So Nico Sliski and Wi-Fi Dave, I'm sure he has a last name besides Wi-Fi, to advise us on our fiber optic network and our server room. So we really looked at a wide array of different fields of specialities to combine and sync all those into our living and breathing working system of our neighborhood.
So this is the Taman Patanu construction materials document, which we, spent a fair amount of time in the early days with the members surveying, what sort of style and feel we wanted to have for the neighborhood. And I haven't looked at this document in a little while, to be honest, because it's so long way through the process, and it's kind of cool to look at it and see that we've pretty much achieved what's listed in here, most of it. So yeah, there you go. These surveys that we're doing. Here's some examples of all the beautiful types of materials that we've been researching and checking how well they comply to the Green Ship rating tool of the Indonesian Green Building Council, and how they are a match for the budget that we have available, and as well as having what I think is a pretty beautiful facility. We also have a lot of information and great samples that we can share with the members for each of their homes over time. Okay, so I'm actually standing in the Taman Patanu handicap bathroom, which is currently temporarily being used as a file storage area. So just wanted to give you a little peek at the volume of design work and documentation that's gone into this very, very experimental, innovative facility and master plan of Taman Patanu. So as you can see, there's stacks of drawings from, site planning to research work to mechanical, electrical, plumbing to structural engineering to architectural design to finishing and interior specifications, materials, all this sort of thing. It's a really awesome body of work in terms of research. And we were really blessed to have the support of a lot of amazing experts from all over the world that were really excited about Taman Patanu and what we were trying to achieve here, who've given us a lot of input. So yes, stacks of research, documents, the official final, what we actually built drawings will be in the Taman Patanu filing system in Google Drive. And then all of the, research papers, et cetera, that are no longer really relevant because we finally figured out what we were doing will be backfiled and available as needed. Lots and lots of catalogs of different potential materials, contractors, and yeah, an incredible story. I mean, this is just an amazing story that we now have here to hopefully someday share quite widely, so that more places like this can start mushrooming up all over the place.
Hi, welcome to Taman Patanu. All guests check in at the security post before proceeding into the neighborhood and drive in on this special new road surface developed by our friend Marcus. This is one of the first prototypes of this road, and it uses no concrete, no asphalt. It's based on limestone with a pervious coating.
So here we are at the very front entrance. This is our security checkpoint, which is manned at the moment by security mostly at night. And then they also check in on movement in and out of the neighborhood, primarily for parking needs, because we have quite a limited parking area at the neighborhood, and as you know, we can't drive to the various homes. So we did a survey quite a while back about which homes have what kind of parking allocation, because one of our goals is to minimize cars on the road in Bali and carpooling and sharing of transport to reduce the carbon footprint of our homes as well. So yeah, we did a survey and we determined who needed what in terms of parking spaces, and then the master plan of this parking area was designed around that. It's a limited space. We're going to have to be very careful about who's parking where once everyone's living here, and we'll work together with the CC and the members group to define, whose parking space is which one. At the moment, as you can see, we're not nearly using all of the parking, so we're a little bit more flexible. But later on, when it's time, we can start determining, spot number, whatever belongs to whomever.
After parking, visitors first come to the Common Facilities building. The front area has a reception room, as well as space for Taman Patanu office and operations. The back upper story of the cafe has its space with a la carte snacks and drinks, and a gathering space for visitors and members alike. The lower floor of this building is an area for workshops, for yoga, for kids to work on art projects and play together, and for the next 2 years will be used as office space for sustainable development company Alam Santi. Next to the Common Facilities building is the temple, which was placed by High Priest Ratu Padanda and was designed with the help of neighborhood member Soma. And next to the temple is a landscape space that will feature permaculture edible landscaping and areas for seating.
Okay, so one of the major changes that happened in the planning of the common facility is that we realized sort of about halfway in, once we got all of our design work finished and we got quotes for all of the work involved, we got a quote back that it was going to cost us, over $1.5 million to just build the buildings, not even the MEP and other work that was needed. And we were like, oops. So, what do you call it? Our eyes were bigger than our stomach in terms of what we could afford to build with our pooled shared funds. So Alam Santi spent quite a lot of time reworking the original concept to come up with a plan that included the major facilities that we had planned for, but was more affordable for the budget that we had available. And one of those things which is really important was we had originally planned to have a quite large wantilan, a big open hall over on that side of the common facility, similar size to the cafe. And that was supposed to be a space for, you know, yoga and workshops and gatherings and that sort of thing. So we managed to integrate the facility that was in the original wantilan into the cafe building. So we still have all the same amount of public toilets and that sort of thing to accommodate events. And we have a nice big open space in the lower cafe, which was kept nice and open so that we can do workshops and events and activities. And what we wound up with, which in a way is an added bonus, is we have this really fabulous big space to landscape right in the heart of the neighborhood. So, you know, as a permaculture-based group, we have some empty canvas that we can work with to landscape up and do some more softscapes. So that's one of the things we'll be working with Bali Rimba on, to, you know, create the cornerstone softscape elements. And then as a group, as Taman Patanu, we'll start doing permaculture together within those gardens and learning together on, you know, different types of productive systems that work well on a site like this. So that's going to be a really fun community activity that we can do over time.
So here at Taman Patanu, we want to honor the Balinese and their way of life, their religion, their beliefs. This Padma is here, it's a seat for the gods to sit. And we make daily offerings every day. They help us, they protect us, they're the unseen that's here in Bali. But the Balinese are very much in touch with that, and we want to honor that. So we put this temple here at the entrance, so anyone who comes into the property, straight away they see the temple first with a view behind. It's in a higher position so that it can protect all of the land and the properties that are around here. And if we offer, it's a way of saying thank you. We're not bribing the gods. It's a way of gratefulness, of giving back to them, because they do so much for us, making the plants grow, the trees, the sun shines, and it's a way of saying thank you back to them. So we give offerings every day. So we have two temples here in Taman Patanu. This one up here at the top, and we have another one down in the bottom next to the river. And this one has 3 seats in it. And those seats are where the Trinity, which in many religions you have the Trinity. Here in Bali, it's Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And this temple is for those main gods. We worship them there. And it's also to protect us. The river there is sacred, so it's in a very auspicious place, so that the river gods also are in harmony with the main gods of this island.
The engineering building holds the electrical boxes for the entire neighborhood, as well as the deep well pump and the water header tanks for the neighborhood-wide distribution system on top of the building. The storage building is used for tools and materials for maintaining the neighborhood, and the waste management area holds the recycling, building materials, and other solid waste.
And then eventually, when all of the members are living here and the houses are ready, that gudang will be removed to allow for more parking over in that area, which is part of the master plan. So that's how the parking is. Hello, welcome to Taman Patanu. So this tree, which is in the, as you can see, is in the roundabout at the front entrance of Taman Patanu, is a very special tree and kind of a member of Taman Patanu, because Ibu Soma donated this tree when it was a sapling about this big, something like 3 years ago. And every time anything changed on site, we were like, protect the tree, protect the tree. So we used to like move it from place to place to place until this area was ready to receive it. So it's a sacred tree, cutting from a tree that Soma knows to be very protective and benevolent. It will get to be very big eventually, and it's already grown, you know, maybe 4 times the original size it was when we first got it. So yeah, this will be a very protective. I like to think of it as our refuge tree, the tree that sort of changes the energy as it comes into the site into being calm and good nature and yeah, growth. So we really love this tree. It's very special. So the Coordination Council of Taman Patanu, the CC as we call it, is becoming really active now, and it's just been amazing to see as time goes by that community awareness and you know, the work that they're doing together to sort of figure out what is the best pathway for the long term of Taman Patanu and how we're going to manage this neighborhood as a group to the, you know, joy and benefit of all of the members. So now that we're wrapping up the Alam Santi site full management process, we've basically defined that the top part of the cafe building is fully allocated to Taman Patanu and the CC. And you can see in the background at the moment there's a meeting going on right now, so there'll be hopefully more and more like that sort of thing. And then the downstairs is the area where Alam Santi is working and will continue to be available for members if you need help with things that you want to do with your homes, and also the capacity building over the next year or so of the new Taman Patanu team.
Our biopool is the first of its kind in the world. It uses no chemicals or salt, but instead relies on keeping a strong ecosystem to keep the pool clean and healthy. The pool has a network of perforated pipes underneath the gravel bottom. Water slowly sinks through the pipes, through a normal pool sand filter, and then back up, creating a constant circulation and keeping the bacterial ecosystem in the gravel healthy. There's a small amount of algae in the pool, as well as about 70 fish, to help keep the ecosystem stable and thriving. Although there's been plenty of ups and downs during the R&D process. For now, the pool is really clear, it's beautiful almost all the time, and it's been a favorite spot for residents and visitors alike. Had a number of parties here, along with the poolside ballet. We have the lounge chairs, the table, the cooking area, the barbecue, and great place for other parties or just watching the sunset quietly. The playground is the geographic and communal heart of the neighborhood, with the center of the spiral being the exact geographic center of the entire residential area. For the neighborhood's kids of all ages, we have this multi-purpose spiral with numbers, a variety of plants to play among, a home area featuring natural wood table and a sink with its own gray water garden, as well as a sandbox and a little bit of room to run around. Just behind the playground is a sports field that's suitable for badminton or compact volleyball games. The amphitheater is a center of creativity and play for the neighborhood, a space where residents and others can host workshops, theater performances, and music performances. In addition to the seating areas here, folks sitting in the cafe and the landscaped gardens can also enjoy the performances. The backstage building features a green roof and has space for props and costume storage, costume changes, as well as bathrooms that can be used by folks using the recreation areas, the pool areas, or watching the performances. Design of the pathways, utility lines, and stormwater system was one of the most complex and important considerations in creating the neighborhood. These concrete tracks are at a suitable distance for electric vehicles, for bicycles, and also for wheelchairs. In the center of the 2 tracks is a gravel trench, which has the utility lines inside, the fiber optic, electric, and deep well water line to each house.
There's water flowing over from the rice fields above, and it's compiling at this location between part 2 and part 3, and then it's running down underneath the foundation of Steve's house in part 3 in this channel piling here, and then you can see it's following the natural location for the stormwater channel uptake, but the pipe itself, because the water is running overland and not underneath into the pipe, and the pipe is probably also not big enough, we're having issues with it carving out that area. Okay, this certainly isn't the major issue under Maya's foundation that we used to have. It's much better. There is still a little bit of water pooling, but nothing really to speak of. And the new wall that was built, with the higher wall that was built along the top of the bottom of the rice fields here is definitely working. We used to have like a waterfall coming over here, but that is no longer happening. So it looks like what used to be coming over there is now going down. Yes, there's the water. Okay, so what's happening is most of that water from the rice field is now being channeled through the new bigger channel that was built above Richard and Maya's across the setback area at Abi and Awal's. As you can see, it's pretty good volume, even though the rain's slowing down now. And yeah, that's going down here. Sure, we maintain the integrity of this stormwater system when we're doing that. Okay, yeah, so there is quite a lot of water going down this channel here.
At the bottom of each trench is a half pipe, so that stormwater running through the neighborhood filters through the gravel into the pipe and exits safely on the stormwater trenches and off the cliff without erosion. Stormwater is one of the biggest considerations in planning the neighborhood, as we sometimes receive up to 30 centimeters of rain in one storm, as well as the water overflowing from the rice paddies. Through much trial and error, we were able to get the stormwater system so that they manage all the water on site. In the lower floor of this building is a large rainwater harvesting tank to serve the cafe's needs throughout the year. The system also includes a first flush system, which will take the first dirty water off the roof and allow only clean water to enter the tank. Water for the entire building passes from the tank through this filter before entering the faucets in the building. This room also features the water meters and the electrical box to manage the electricity throughout the building. The Eco Farm is a half-hectare of land going down to the coconut trees that's available to grow food for the residents. Alam Santi has already worked with a variety of advisors to create a master plan for the farm that incorporates freshwater aquaculture, small fruits, vegetables, as well as organically managed SRI rice. Alam Santi has also supervised the digging of the fish ponds, 5 in total, and the building of the nursery and all-purpose building. So in addition to providing food for the neighborhood, the farm will also serve as a vital companion to the Living Classroom Learning Center, as a model of an ecologically managed, diverse production farm, and will help to serve as a training center for farmers in the local community. Ultimately, it will be up to residents to figure out what exactly to grow and how to manage this precious resource.
Hi, I'm Rick. Most of you know that I belong to the Heart Group at Taman Patano, and part of our activities is to reach out into the community and do goodwill. We don't want to build just an elitist compound here with what we're trying to do. Sustainability and community is part of our key activities. So the Heart Group is vested with the responsibility to reach out into the community and do good work. And we've started commencing that some time ago with the education program at the local school, which was really well accepted. The children loved it. There were some games. It was about permaculture and organic living. However, because of the tightness of the schedule, we could only get about an hour a month. And I realized that we're not going to change anything. Nobody's going to change dramatically their lives if we only have an hour a month. This sort of activity needs to go on and on, be repeated and repeated it till it becomes assimilated into people's lives. So with that, we were introduced to a concept by Dan and Aaron, who are two permaculturists from Australia, to the concept of living classroom. And the idea really resonated with me. And what you see behind us is the beginning of what will be the Living Classroom Learning Centre. We have leased the land, and we have had a donated wooden building, which you can see behind us. And recently, we acquired 10,000 Australian dollars as a grant from a very generous foundation who believe in what we're doing and want to support us. So we're about to ramp up our activities here. It doesn't look very much now, but in a few months' time, we should have a decent floor in there and a much better idea of how the whole concept's going to unfold. We're also seeking grants from the Australian Consul in Denpasar, and that's looking very, very promising, which could give us the funds to really complete everything and get things running. My personal goal is to see this building complete by the end of the year. So things are moving. They've been slowly at the beginning, but now they're starting to unfold and open up, and we're very excited about being able to provide free education to Balinese children. They would come after their normal school activities and the weekends, to farmers, to wean them off chemicals and GMOs and to revert back to the old indigenous farming process of organic farming, to bring families here, especially mums, and they join the dots that they can see we could do something this as a family in our own compound. We could emulate what the Living Classroom has created. So we will have organic beds of vegetables, we'll have the fish farms, we'll have many structures, worm farms, seed banks, composting, waste management, waste segregation. The whole idea is to put in a little model of what a family compound could potentially look like in Bali. And then as we go along, the children will take up the cudgel on this and bring these ideas home into their schools, into their community, and they will be the new leaders. So we're giving them an opportunity to move away from all the old paradigm, the chemical-based agriculture, the non-sustainable ways of living, and providing them with education and the tools to be able to live in a sustainable, organic, healthy way, and then raise their children. So it's a very exciting project, and it's one that's very dear to my heart. I feel very strongly about it, and I am very honored to be able to lead the charge with the other Heart Group people and the support of Taman Patano Eco Neighbourhood. It's thrilling. So that's our update.
So within our agreement, we also had a little section that was called responsibilities of the client. And what that means is, what were the expectations in going into this agreement for Taman Patanu Coordination Council and the members who have hired Alam Santi to do the job. So, in that is, we requested simply that there's, timely reviews of the different inquiries and issues that we as a team bring up to the council to decide upon, that there's, clear inputs and decisions made, and just feedback that's given on a regular basis. And I would say that the client, the Coordination Council, led by Rick Purcell, with a lot of inputs from other members, did such an amazing job of doing this, and we'd really like to commend you guys because, as you know, the process, it's not a simple process. It's quite complex. There's a lot of decisions that need to be made. The train is moving quite at high speed, and things just need to get acted on quickly. So, and things are complex. So we'd like to say, and just give recognition that the process wasn't easy, and I think we did an amazing job together, and we'd just like to commend everyone that helped out to see us through all the ups and downs, from the joyous celebrations to a little bit of breakdown of tears and back again. So thank you so much for that.
So the sort of defining of what is Taman Patanu was a real work of art. We worked very much collaboratively with the members, and as the membership grew and there was more and more people, the process just became really fascinating. As you know, the members are kind of eclectic. We have people who already have families, even grandchildren. We have young people who are just sort of starting their first home and thoughts about having families. We have creative art people, we have social activists, we have business people. I mean, what drives us all together and makes us, really cohesive group is, there's a really strong commitment to eco-friendly, sustainable living practices, and also exploring what it means to have communal living that really, really works. So, that's what binds us together, but then the part of the bind that seems to be working for us is the fact that we allow for a lot of space for these different types of characters, different interests, different approaches to things. It's been really fascinating during the development process. So this affected both the legal structuring of the neighborhood as well as the design of the common facilities, and what shared facilities, because we own these facilities together, were appropriate for this particular group of people. So from a legal standpoint, in June 2010, we had 5 members at Taman Patanu. Now today we have 16, so that's a big change between now and then. And our plans of what the common facilities would be and how they would look wasn't really clear yet. We were just sort of starting to get clear on this particular site. And then following that, we decided as a group to contract a professional architect, which was the Guy Morgan architect firm. And Guy really helped us a lot in terms of starting to clarify a little bit more about what type of an integrated master plan would work for us. So we sort of created zones around Taman Patanu. We had people who were anxious to start building soon and get their houses up and running quickly, and then we had other members who were sort of like, whoa, I'm able to buy the land now, but I'm not quite ready to build yet. So we basically divided the neighborhood into 2 different major zones. So one was one that had a proposed completion deadline for all the homes as being in June 2013. And then we had what we called the Phase 2 zone, which was due to be completed in June 2015. And then we had this amazing event where, a lot of people who had heard about Taman Patanu and were kind of wondering what it was all about came, and we gathered together. This happened in December 2010. And at that event, a lot of people signed up, boom! So all of a sudden our membership grew really dramatically. And at that event, we sort of subdivided the zones that we had already established, and we said, so, which part of the neighborhood, based on when you're planning to build and based on what type of landscape is interesting to you, more riverfront, more flat at the back, please let us know which area of the land you'd be interested in. And then based on the result of that, we were able to start, and also, how much land do you need for your home? And then based on the result of that, we were able to start, kind of legally structuring what this neighborhood was going to look like. So where were the plots? How big were the plots? That sort of thing. So our first official master plan for Taman Patanu was clarified in around June 2010. And you can see on the screen here that, there was sort of a zone, the white areas, that zone was the areas that had already been taken on and committed to by certain members. And then by February 2011, it had changed quite a lot. It sort of started opening up and expanding. And then by January 2012, we saw our membership growing and less and less vacant plots and more plots being taken on by different new members of Taman Patanu. By June 2013, not only did we pretty much have the neighborhood completely full except for one plot, we had a few members who had sort of shifted their plots. So, prior to that, Sandy had been between Mel and Soma's plots, and that area had 3 different plots on it. But for various reasons, in terms of Sandy's wishes and also Johan's, and Soma's and Mel's, that area went from being 3 plots to 2 plots, and Sandy moved and shared what used to be Johan's plot. So all of these changes resulted in, it's quite a lot of work in terms of establishing the land certificates, because each time you produce a land certificate, there's a whole application procedure you have to go through with the government in terms of, technically on paper buying and selling land and nullifying old land certificates, creating new ones, having all of that information registered legally, having the surveyors come down to site to, ratify where the boundaries are between different land parcels. And then, so all of this went quite well. We've seen that, throughout Bali there's a lot of issues with, weird land deals and things that shouldn't happening. But thanks to Brigade and Brigadendra and the team, it went pretty well, and we have all of our land certificates, signed, sealed, and delivered. They're all in the office, and the original copies are in the public notary's office. By June 2014, which was not so long ago, this was last year, we actually found that some of the members who had joined the neighborhood were kind of sort of shifting their personal plans, and land that had prior to that been considered sold and already owned was now vacant again. And so the neighborhood went from being almost completely sold to not completely sold. And that had a pretty big effect on the planning of what we thought we were going to do, and then the available cash flow to do the completion of the work for the common facilities. But then in the end of last year, beginning of this year, a new member came on board and picked up several of those remaining plots, which had a huge boon on the cash flow and the ability for us to keep going with the common facility. So work has gone quite rapidly since then. At this time now, we have one plot which the status of which is not completely sure. We think that the previous owners of plot 20 do want to sell on, but Rick's about to meet with them hopefully in the next little while. They're on Bali now, so we'll get more clarity on where that's at. And we've heard recently that Eli has decided that building at Taman Patanu is not really the best thing for him, so there's a good chance that his plot is going to be listed as vacant quite soon. So it's been quite the amazing journey, watching this site metaphor-size and keeping up with the legalities around that and making sure that everything is really, really clear and well structured and all the documentation's in place. But it looks like we're good to go with that. All the permits and land certificates are in the office, and there's a page on the Taman Patanu members website where you can link in to access the documentation for your land. And the last step is still outstanding for most of the members, which is deciding, what name you want to have on your land certificate. So we'll go more into that when we get into the report on the home prep activities, because that's part of home prep. But at the moment, all of the various land parcels, except for Mayas and Avis, who have already gone through their process, are in either my name or my name, Bigaday's name, and Avi's name. So at some point there'll definitely need to be some type of final decision on behalf of the landowners on what they want to do with those names and those certificates. But we'll get more into that in the home prep report.
So beyond what was written in our agreement in the original MOU, we also found that a lot of unexpected and awesome initiatives came up that required Alam Santi's attention and dedication of time and skills and knowledge. And a lot of that had to do with the community outreach. So like new opportunities were coming up and new challenges we had to face that we just couldn't ignore. And it was so much part of our passion too that we were happy to serve. But it did come as a surprise, a pleasant surprise. So what I'm talking about are things like, the eco farm development, the living classroom, those things that we thought were going to be, phase 3 in the future after we were all living here. Things started developing a bit, and we just had to take, the moment to see certain opportunities to do so. Another big one was the managing the waste dump, which actually caught on fire and was burning, and a lot of education that needed to happen, as well as the Kumunu Cultural Tourism Program that ended really successfully and got them a government grant. Also, the different permaculture design courses and workshops that were held that had enormous success and it was so much fun, were things that just started to come up that we didn't realize were going to happen, but we were happy to put some time into it. One more unexpected item that I think none of us really knew, would occur to this level was what you see here, which is the mining that's happening. So, when we arrived, there was no mining happening in front of the Taman area, and slowly we saw it, increasingly occurring. So that called for, our nonprofit, environmental activists, and conservation and campaigning skills to, be called to act, to work in accordance with the community to address this challenge that we were facing. And we'll hear more on that later from some of our team members.
Ini terkait dengan programnya desa yang tahun 80-an itu. Kalau masih ingat, organik ini yang tidak mudah hancur. Organik.
One amazing aspect of this process was facilitating the education of permaculture design to dozens of awesome students on different occasions. So, a few years back we did John Champagne's course, hosted the EDUP Foundation. That's actually, where Rod and myself and Tikal and Adriana, we all did that course together, which was such an awesome experience. It was really transformative and honestly life-changing. And then we had the pleasure of working with Robin Francis, who's one of the grand mahas of permaculture from Australia, coming and co-teaching with Robin Navicula, and in Bandar Sumampan, hosted at Ida Bagus Marca's place. And that was so amazing because Taman Patanu, actually, with all your contributions to when you bought in, sponsored 10 local farmers and landowners in this area to teach them about permaculture, and designed the plot of land, which is the eco farm. So it's that design was inputted by so many amazing people, and that permaculture design course attracted 50 students, a mixture of internationals that came in, Balinese people, and young Indonesians from different parts of the country. And it was just such an amazing experience. We had people literally crying their eyes out at the end of the process. We also had some amazing people come by to do little workshops, like Michelle and Jude Fanton, who did the Seed Savers workshop to the local farmers here, where everyone kind of gathered around and traded stories about, you know, what it was like in the old days. What did they do in seed saving in their family? What kind of fruits they had back then that they don't have now that they could bring back because they have this really, you know, special stock of seed that they're saving in their houses. Those are really, really special takeaways that I can remember from it, and I'm sure there's countless more.
Saat itu kami melakukan kunjungan di Sekolah Dasar Negeri 1 Kemenuh. Kegiatan yang kami lakukan yaitu mengajak anak-anak untuk bermain, bernyanyi, dan membuat kerajinan dari daur ulang sampah. Kita juga mengajak anak-anak untuk menanam tanaman agar mereka lebih peduli terhadap lingkungan hidup. Saat acara school program, kita melakukan kunjungan ke SD Negeri 1 Kemenuh bersama tim kita, Dewi dan Fadlik.
Many of you may remember back in the early days, we had a huge issue. By we, I mean the whole village here had a huge issue of 2 illegal dump sites operating in this village that a lot of the villagers who live here, including us, did not want to be happening anymore. You know, it was trash that was coming from the Sukawati and Ubud market, being brought here and basically, you know, just illegally dumped in a dried up river ravine. So that had been going on for 15 years, and as a part of our community outreach, we asked the local leadership, you know, what are your biggest challenges that the village face? And these dump sites were one of them. So we thought, okay, how do we use our skills and knowledge and resources to help to solve this issue? So we help to assist by educating, going into the schools, going to the Women's Association meetings and meeting with local leadership as to how to tackle this really critical issue. And in the end, I really feel that we had a great success because those illegal dump sites got shut down finally and mitigated, and you know, people, the DESA actually endorsed it and instructed the trust to bring it to a more to a legal and well-managed dump site in Temesi instead of dumping here. So finding, you know, an alternative solution to something that was causing, you know, a lot of problems in the area for a lot of people. So massive success. It wasn't up to all of us to do it, but we actually really supported in a lot of great ways from behind the scenes. As we wrap up this development contract and hence this video blog, we see that a new life is emerging on this fertile ground that we've created here. As you can see, a lot of the homes are under development and we're shifting into a new phase that we're all really excited about. You know, homes are starting to go up and almost come to completion. Of course, we've got Petra's family living on site. We've got Avi and Awal's house way under development, and Richard and Maya, Soma, Rick, Stanny's starting on his, and a lot more to come. So we see that all these like really cool individual designs are being created, new technologies are being demonstrated, and we're slowly, brick by brick, literally building our neighborhood. We spent countless hours, especially with Rick Purcell, who, you know, diligently came to site every week, every 2 weeks to meet with us and, you know, troubleshoot, give feedback and guidance, and representing on behalf of the wishes of the greater neighborhood members. So we started kind of forming this little inside joke based on Charlie's Angels that, you know, there's a certain special someone that was Charlie, and he had his angels carrying out his special missions. Oh, somebody's calling us.
Oh, who is it?
It's him.
Him.
Hi, Charlie.
Good morning, angels. How are we doing today? Good. Now listen, I've got something really important to tell you. You know, I cherish all the work you've done, but you've been out there in the tropics, enjoying the sunshine and the coconuts and the frozen margaritas, and I really think it's time that you came in, and we ought to wrap this project up It's been going for many years now, and I've got another exciting project for you. Yes, yes, there is another one, sure. Well, if you behave yourself, of course. What is it? Well, it should be fairly apparent to you now that the world is in a bit of a mess, and you are vested with the opportunity to fix it, right? You've done really well on the Taman Patano project, and you've excelled yourself, and really now it's time for something really big. Take off the trainer wheels, and we're going to go and save the world. How much time? We'll figure that as we go along. And yes, there's an unlimited budget. Okay? So I'll see you in my office. Be good. Thanks, angels. Bye-bye.
I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine.